The grand chamber of the Estrain Palace glowed with 1,000 crystalline lights, yet the atmosphere was darker than the void of space itself. Princess Celestine lay motionless on the healing platform, her silver hair spread like moonlight across the metallic surface. Her violet eyes, once bright enough to inspire poets across 3-star systems, remained closed. The soft rise and fall of her chest grew weaker with each passing moment. Around her, the greatest minds of the Empire stood helpless. Healer Dravik, his 4 arms moving frantically over holographic displays, shook his head for what felt like the 100th time. The energy readings made no sense. The poison coursing through the princess's veins was unlike anything in their medical archives. It seemed to feed on every attempt to neutralize it, growing stronger with each treatment they tried. Queen Moravel stood behind the protective barrier, her elegant form rigid with controlled panic. Her crystalline skin, normally radiating a soft blue luminescence, had turned almost gray. Beside her, King Velon gripped the railings so hard that small cracks appeared in the metal. Neither spoke. There were no words left. The chamber doors burst open with a sound that echoed like thunder. 6 royal guards marched in, their weapons powered but lowered. Between them stumbled a human male, his wrists bound in electromagnetic restraints that pulsed with a dull orange glow. He was tall by human standards, with dark hair that fell across his forehead and eyes the color of Earth's ancient forests. His name was Devin Reeves, though no one in this room cared to know it. He looked exhausted. His flight suit was torn at the shoulder, stained with dirt and what might have been blood. A bruise darkened his left cheekbone. He had been captured 3 cycles ago when his cargo ship strayed too close to Estrain territory. Just another human prisoner in a war that neither side seemed able to stop. Healer Dravik turned from his patient, his expression unreadable. The Queen's voice cut through the silence like ice. "Explain this interruption." The healer bowed low. "Your Majesty, I know this seems inappropriate, but we have exhausted every option. The poison is adaptive. It evolves faster than we can counter it. However, our deep scans revealed something unusual." He gestured to a display that materialized in the air. Human cellular structure operates on entirely different principles than ours. Where we channel energy, humans absorb and transform it. Their biology is reactive in ways we cannot fully understand. "You brought a human into my daughter's healing chamber?" The Queen's voice trembled with fury and something else. Desperation. "I brought a possibility," Dravik replied quietly. "The scans suggest that human cells might be able to absorb the poison's energy signature. It is theoretical. It may do nothing. But if we do nothing, the princess will die within the hour." The king finally spoke, his voice heavy as stone. "What must be done?" Dravik turned to Devin, who had been listening with growing horror. "You must touch her. Skin contact. The energy transfer may occur naturally if our theory is correct." The room erupted. Guards shouted protests. Other healers backed away as if the human carried plague. The very idea was blasphemy. Humans were considered primitive, their biology inferior. To allow one to touch royalty was unthinkable. Devin looked at the princess on the platform. She was beautiful in a way that seemed impossible, like something carved from starlight and dreams. She was also dying. He could see it in the way her chest barely moved, in the pale quality of her crystalline skin. "Will it hurt her?" he asked. Dravik hesitated. "It should not, but will likely hurt you considerably." Devin nodded slowly. "Then let's do it." The Queen stepped forward, her hand raised as if to strike him down with pure will. But King Velon touched her arm. "Moravel, she is our daughter." The words broke something in the Queen's expression. She stepped back, turning away so no one could see her face. The guards unlocked Devin's restraints, but kept their weapons trained on him. He walked forward slowly, his heart hammering against his ribs. Up close, he could see the fine details of Celestine's face. Her features were delicate, almost fragile, yet there was strength in the lines of her jaw and brow. "I'm sorry if this is wrong," he whispered, too quietly for anyone else to hear. "But I'm going to try to help you." He reached out, his hand shaking slightly, and placed it gently over hers. For 3 heartbeats, nothing happened. The healers exchanged dark looks. The Queen turned away completely. Then Devon gasped, his entire body going rigid. It felt like lightning was pouring into him through every nerve. His vision went white with pain. He could feel something dark and hungry flowing from her body into his, something that wanted to consume and destroy. His knees buckled, but he kept his hand in place, gritting his teeth so hard he tasted blood. The monitoring equipment began to sing with new tones. The poison readings in Celestine's body were dropping. Slowly at first, then faster. The dark energy was transferring to Devon, and his body, against all logic, was breaking it down, neutralizing it, transforming it into something harmless. Color returned to Celestine's skin like dawn breaking. Her breathing deepened, steadied, grew strong. And then, as Devon's vision began to blur and darken, as he felt consciousness slipping away from him, the princess opened her eyes. Violet met Green for the first time. In that moment, something passed between them that had nothing to do with poison or healing or science. Something that would change everything. Devon collapsed, unconscious before he hit the floor, and Celestine whispered a single word that somehow carried across the entire chamber. Ooh! Devon woke to whiteness. Pure, sterile white that hurt his eyes even before he fully opened them. His entire body ached with a deep, bone-level exhaustion that made even breathing feel like work. When he tried to move, he discovered his wrists and ankles were secured to whatever surface he lay on. Not painfully, but firmly enough that escape was impossible. You are awake. Good. The voice came from somewhere above him. Devon turned his head slowly, every muscle protesting. A figure stood beside what appeared to be a medical table, studying a series of holographic displays that floated in the air. The being was tall and slender, with skin that shimmered like polished copper. I am Professor Yelena. I have been monitoring your recovery. How do you feel? Like I was hit by a cargo hauler. Devon managed his throat dry. Where am I? In a research facility beneath the palace. You have been unconscious for 2 days. Yelena moved closer, her large amber eyes examining him with genuine curiosity rather than hostility. What you did should have killed you. The amount of toxic energy you absorbed would have liquefied the organs of any strain. Yet here you are, alive and recovering. Devon tried to process this information. 2 days. The princess, fully recovered. Healthier than she has been in years, actually. The poison is completely gone from her system. Yelena tilted her head in a gesture that might have been the equivalent of a smile. She has been asking about you constantly, demanding to see you, in fact. The Queen has forbidden it. Before Devon could respond, a door he had not noticed slid open with a soft hiss. Chancellor Vexus entered, his presence immediately changing the atmosphere in the room. He was broad where most Australians were slender, his skin a dark bronze that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. His eyes were cold, calculating. Leave us, Professor, Vexus commanded. Yelena hesitated, glancing at Devon with something that might have been concern. But she bowed and departed, the door sealing behind her with a definitive sound. Vexus circled the table slowly, studying Devon like a specimen under glass. Do you understand what you have done, human? I saved her life, Devon replied carefully. You have created a crisis. Vexus stopped at the foot of the table. For 3,000 years, the Australian Empire has maintained its dominance through careful control of biological hierarchy. We are stronger, longer-lived, more evolved than primitive species like yours. This is the natural order, the foundation of our society. Devon felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. And I messed that up by not dying. Precisely. Vexus leaned forward. If humans can do what no Australian healer could accomplish, what does that say about our superiority? If your biology can adapt and overcome where ours fails, how long before others realize that humans might be more valuable than we claimed, more dangerous than we believed? So what happens to me? Vexus straightened, his expression unreadable. That is being decided at the highest levels. Some believe you should be studied. Others believe you should be eliminated quietly. A few radical voices suggest we should explore what other capabilities humans might possess. He paused. And then there is the princess herself, who has made her opinion quite clear. In the royal wing of the palace, Celestine stood at her window, looking out over the glittering capital city. She felt stronger than she had in months, energy flowing through her body like electricity. But her mind was focused elsewhere, on green eyes filled with pain, on a stranger willing to hurt himself to save her. You should be resting. Queen Moravelle entered without announcement, as was her habit. The healers say you recovered remarkably well, but you still need time. I need answers, mother. Celestine turned from the window. Who was he? Why was a human prisoner brought to my healing chamber? And why am I not allowed to see him? The queen's expression hardened. Because it is complicated and you do not need complications right now. He saved my life. He presented a biological anomaly that healer Dravik exploited out of desperation. Nothing more. Celestine felt anger rising in her chest, hot and unfamiliar. She had always been the dutiful daughter, the perfect princess. But something had changed when she woke up to find that humans standing over her, collapsing from whatever he had done. You are lying to me. The queen's crystalline skin flushed darker. I am protecting you. From what? Gratitude? The truth. Celestine stepped closer to her mother. I felt it, mother. When he touched me, I felt the poison leaving my body. I felt his pain. No one has ever willingly suffered for me like that. Not the guards sworn to protect me. Not the healers paid to serve me. A stranger did what none of them could or would. He is human, Celestine. Do you understand what that means politically? I understand that I am alive because of him. In another part of the palace, King Velon sat in his private study, reviewing reports that made his head ache. Chancellor Vexus had compiled a detailed analysis of the human's cellular structure. Professor Yelena had submitted a proposal for further research. Healer Dravik had written a passionate defense of his decision. And beneath all of it was a simple, terrifying truth. Humans were not what they seemed. Their bodies contained potential that the Astrain Empire had systematically underestimated for generations. If one human could heal a princess, what could millions of humans do if they realized their own capabilities? The war at the borders suddenly seemed far more dangerous than anyone had believed. You are thinking too much, my king. Queen Moravelle entered, closing the door behind her. She looked exhausted, older than he had seen her in years. Our daughter wants to see the human. I know. I forbade it. Velon studied his wife. Perhaps we should allow it. She has questions. She deserves answers. She deserves to be safe. Moravelle sat across from him, her composure cracking slightly. If she becomes attached to this human, if the court learns of it, the scandal will destroy her reputation. She is heir to the throne, Velon. She cannot be connected to a primitive prisoner. He saved her life, Moravelle. That connection already exists. In the research facility, Devon had fallen back into an exhausted sleep when the door opened again. This time, Professor Yelena entered with purpose, quickly checking the monitoring equipment before leaning close. I'm going to tell you something that could get me executed, she whispered. Your biology is not just different from ours. It is adaptable in ways we thought impossible. When you absorbed the poison, your cells did not just neutralize it. They learned from it, evolved. Right now, your body contains antibodies that could cure dozens of Astrain diseases we consider incurable. Devon's eyes widened. What are you saying? I am saying that humans may be the key to medical advances we have not seen in millennia. But I am also saying that Chancellor Vexus and his faction will never allow that information to become public. They will kill you to protect the Empire's image of superiority. Then why are you telling me? Yelena glanced at the door nervously. Because Princess Celestine insisted I find out the truth, and I believe she has the right to know what you truly are. You are not primitive, Devon Reeves. You are something we do not understand, something that frightens us. And that makes you very dangerous indeed. Before Devon could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Red lights flashed. Yelena's expression went from concern to terrified. What is that? Security breach. Someone is coming. She moved to the door, then looked back. She is coming for you. The princess is coming. The security doors exploded inward with a blast of concentrated energy. Through the smoke and debris, Princess Celestine walked with the kind of authority that came from royal blood and absolute determination. 2 royal guards flanked her, their weapons drawn but pointed at the facility's security forces rather than at anyone inside. "Stand aside," Celestine commanded, her voice carrying the weight of 3,000 years of imperial lineage. The facility guards looked at each other uncertainly. She was the heir, but she was also acting without authorization. Professor Yelena stepped forward quickly. "Your Highness, you should not be here. This is a restricted area." "Restricted by whose authority? My mother's? My father's?" Celestine's violet eyes blazed. "I am the one who was dying. I am the one who was saved. I have every right to see the person responsible." She looked past Yelena to where Devin lay restrained on the medical table. Their eyes met for the second time, and once again, something electric passed between them. Devin tried to sit up as much as his restraints allowed. "Princess, you really don't need to. Be quiet." She moved to his side, studying his face with an intensity that made him forget how to breathe. Up close, she was even more striking than he remembered. Her silver hair seemed to catch and reflect every light source in the room. Her crystalline skin glowed faintly with an inner luminescence. But it was her eyes that held him. They were ancient and young at the same time, filled with intelligence and curiosity and something he could not quite name. "Release him," she ordered. "Your Highness," the Chancellor gave specific orders. One of the facility guards began. "The Chancellor does not outrank me. Release him now, or I will do it myself, and you will all face charges of impeding royal authority." Yelena moved quickly to comply, deactivating the restraints. Devin sat up slowly, rubbing his wrists. Every muscle still ached, but the pain was manageable now. He swung his legs off the table, acutely aware that he was dressed only in thin medical garments and that the most important person in the Empire was standing less than a meter away from him. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for coming, though I'm not sure it was wise." Celestine smiled for the first time, and the expression transformed her face from beautiful to devastating. "Wisdom is overrated. I have been wise and dutiful my entire life. And where did it get me? Poisoned and dying. Sometimes foolishness is the only sensible option." The door burst open again. This time, Chancellor Vexus entered with a full contingent of palace security. His expression was thunderous. "Princess Celestine, you will return to your chambers immediately. This human is under imperial custody, pending evaluation." "This human has a name," Celestine replied coolly. "And he saved my life when none of you could. I believe that earns him some basic respect. He is a prisoner of war. He has no rights beyond what we grant him. Then I'm granting him my protection." Celestine moved to stand between Devin and the security forces. "As heir to the throne, I invoke royal sanctuary. This man is under my personal guardianship until I deem otherwise." Vexus's skin darkened with barely controlled rage. "You overstep your authority, princess. The king will hear of this." "Good. I intend to speak with him myself." Celestine turned to Devin. "Can you walk?" He nodded, standing carefully. His legs were shaky, but held. "I think so. Then we are leaving. Together." She offered her arm in a gesture that was both support and statement. Devin hesitated only a moment before taking it. The contact sent that same electric sensation through both of them, but neither pulled away. They walked toward the door, Celestine's guards creating a protective formation around them. Vexus looked like he wanted to physically block their path, but even he would not dare touch the heir to the throne. As they passed, he leaned close enough for only Celestine to hear. "This will end badly, princess. For both of you." "That sounds like a threat, Chancellor." "It is a prediction." They ascended through the palace levels in tense silence. Devin could feel the stares of every servant and guard they passed. Some looked shocked, others scandalized, a few openly hostile. He was acutely aware that he was a human in torn medical garments being escorted by a princess through the heart of the Australian Empire's power structure. "You really did not have to do this," he said quietly as they entered a private lift. I do not want to cause you political problems. Celestine waited until the lift doors closed before responding. You absorbed poison that would have killed me. You suffered agony to save someone you did not know. The least I can do is ensure you are treated with dignity rather than being locked in a cell. Still, your mother seemed pretty clear about not wanting us to meet. My mother is afraid. The lift rose smoothly, heading toward the royal levels. Afraid of what you represent. Afraid of how it changes everything we thought we knew about humans, about ourselves. She looked at him directly. Are you afraid of me? The question caught him off guard. Should I be? Most people are. I am royalty, alien, wielder of power you cannot imagine. Yet you touched me when no one else dared. Why? Devin thought about it carefully. Because you were dying, and I had a chance to help. Nothing else mattered in that moment. Nothing else matters, Celestine repeated softly. What a strange and wonderful philosophy. The lift stopped, and the doors opened onto a corridor of breathtaking beauty. Crystal walls refracted light into rainbow patterns. The ceilings seemed to show open sky, though they were deep inside the palace. These are my private chambers. You will stay here under my protection while we determine what happens next. Your mother is going to be furious. My mother has been furious before. She will survive. Celestine led him into a vast suite of rooms that made Devin feel impossibly small and out of place. There are bathing facilities through that door, clothing that should fit you in the wardrobe, and food available whenever you want it. Rest. Recover. We will talk more later. Devin wanted to argue, to insist this was too much, but exhaustion was pulling at him like gravity. Why are you doing this? Really? Celestine moved to the window, looking out over her city. Because when I woke up and saw you collapsing, I felt something I have never felt before. Not gratitude, though I'm grateful. Not curiosity, though I am curious. I felt connected to you in a way that defies explanation or logic. She turned back to face him. Our biologies touched, Devin Reeves. You're savid mine. That creates a bond that transcends politics or species or anything else. Before he could respond, the door burst open. Queen Moravelle stood in the entrance, flanked by guards, her expression a mixture of fury and fear. Celestine, what have you done? I have claimed sanctuary rights, as is my privilege as heir. You have created a political catastrophe. The council is convening an emergency session. Chancellor Vexus is calling for the humans' immediate execution as a security threat. Half the court believes you have been compromised by alien influence. Then half the court is foolish. Celestine moved to stand beside Devin, a clear statement of alliance. This man saved my life. I will not allow him to be executed for the crime of being capable. The queen's gaze moved between her daughter and the human, and something shifted in her expression. Understanding, perhaps, or recognition. You care for him. I barely know him. That was not an answer. The silence stretched. Devin could feel the weight of the moment, the impossible complexity of what was happening. He was a cargo pilot from Earth, standing in an alien palace, somehow at the center of an imperial crisis, because his biology happened to work differently than expected. Your Majesty, he said carefully, I never meant to cause any of this. If my leaving would solve the problem, I will go. Queen Moravelle studied him with eyes that had seen centuries of court intrigue. If you leave, they will hunt you down and dissect you to understand what you are. If you stay, you will become the center of a political storm that could tear this empire apart. She looked at her daughter, and I do not believe my daughter will allow either option. No, Celestine said simply. I will not. The queen closed her eyes briefly, and when she opened them again, something had changed. Then we must find a third option, one that protects you both and preserves the stability of the empire. She stepped fully into the room, and the guards closed the door behind her. Professor Yelena discovered something about human biology, something that could change everything. Devin Reeves, you are not just a man who saved a princess. You are potentially the key to solving medical crises we have faced for generations. Yelena told me, Devin admitted. She said my cells adapted to the poison. They did more than adapt. They evolved. And if they can do that once, they might be able to do it again. Different poisons, different diseases, different challenges. The queen moved to the window, her back to them, which means you are now the most valuable and most dangerous being in this empire. Chancellor Vexus knows this. He will do everything in his power to eliminate you before others realize your potential. So what do we do? Celestine asked. The queen turned back, and her expression was resigned but determined. We prove that humans are not a threat. We demonstrate that cooperation between our species benefits everyone. And we do it publicly, before Vexus can move against you. She looked directly at Devon. How do you feel about becoming very famous, very quickly? I did not sign up for fame. You signed up when you touched my daughter. The queen's voice softened slightly. I'm not happy about any of this. I am afraid for my daughter, afraid of what it means for our society, afraid of losing control of a situation that is spiraling beyond anyone's ability to manage. But I'm also pragmatic. If we cannot stop what is happening, we must guide it, shape it, use it to our advantage. Celestine moved to her mother's side. What is your plan? Tomorrow, we hold a public ceremony. The princess, alive and healthy, thanks to a human whose biology allowed him to save her where a strain medicine failed. We frame it as a miracle of cooperation, proof that different species can work together to achieve what neither could alone. We make Devon Reeves a hero rather than a threat. And Vexus will be forced to accept it or reveal himself as willing to harm the Empire's beloved princess for political reasons. The queen looked at Devon. Are you willing to do this? To become the face of human-estrained cooperation? It will change your life forever. Devon thought about his cargo ship, his quiet life moving supplies between stations. All of that was gone now, burned away the moment he touched a dying princess. He looked at Celestine, meeting those violet eyes that seemed to see right through him. If it keeps both of us alive, he said, I am willing to try. Celestine reached out and took his hand. The contact sent that familiar electric sensation through both of them, stronger than before. Then we faced this together. In the shadows of the palace, Chancellor Vexus received the report of the Queen's plan. His expression remained calm, but inside, calculations were already forming. If they wanted to make the human a hero, he would simply have to prove that heroes could be villains in disguise. There were ways to manipulate events, to create scenarios that would expose the human as the threat Vexus knew him to be. The game was not over. It had only just begun, and in the medical research facility, Professor Yelena studied the data from Devon's cellular analysis one more time. What she had told the Queen was true, but it was not the complete truth. The human cells had not just adapted. They had evolved in response to a strain energy, which meant that exposure to more strained biological systems might cause even more dramatic changes. She thought about the princess holding the human's hand, the visible energy transfer between them. The medical implications were staggering, but so were the dangers. What happened when two incompatible biologies became too compatible? When the boundaries between species began to blur? Yelena deleted her final notes and left the facility. Some knowledge was too dangerous to record. Some discoveries changed everything so completely that merely knowing them was a burden beyond measure. In Celestine's chambers, Devon stood at the window beside the princess, looking out over a city that would soon know his face, his name, his story. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tonight, for a brief moment, he allowed himself to simply stand beside someone who made him feel less alone in an alien universe. Are you afraid? Celestine asked softly. Terrified. Good. That means you understand what we are facing. She moved slightly closer, their shoulders almost touching. But we face it together. Together, Devon echoed. And somehow, that single word made everything seem possible. The end.